so this class what I want to do is that I take some example of instructional objective and outcome. Then let us try to find out the cognitive level, condition component, criteria component, performance component, cognitive level, action verbs. So, all those tutorial things we will do for this class. Okay. So, if you see this video, you will learn how to identify the condition component, criteria component and performance component of a given outcomes or instructional objective, and also how to identify the cognitive level, how to identify the action verbs, all those things. Okay. So, let us first think about that what we said about instructional objective or outcome. So, a instructional objective or outcome, whether it is a course outcome, module outcome, chapter outcome, training outcome, project outcome, whatever it is, it should be measurable, it should be specific, it should be achievable, and it is a statement what learner will able to do after receiving the instruction. It is not what teacher will cover, it is what learner will able to perform. Okay? And each of the instructional objective or outcome may have three primary component: condition component, performance component, criteria component. Sometimes some criteria component may not be there, but to make it achievable, criteria component is needed. So, all outcome specific, measurable, achievable, it must contain condition component, criteria component, performance component. Performance component is mandatory, condition component and criteria component make the outcome specific and achievable. But if the performance component is not there, that cannot be an outcome or instructional objective. Okay? So, let us see, choose the instructional objective which are measurable. So, I have given 8 instructional objective or outcome, find out which ones are measurable, and those are written by I think many professors of these many courses, but still you see some of the instructional objective are not measurable. So, suppose I give you a set of instructional objective and told you to find out which one is measurable. For a given volume and density, calculate the mass, is measurable, is okay. For a given RLC circuit, determine the voltage between any two nodes, measurable. Student will apply law of thermodynamics. Apply law of thermodynamics. It is teacher hope the students will apply law of thermodynamics. So, this outcome is not measurable and not learner centric also. This is teacher centric. As a teacher, I expect that student will able to apply law of thermodynamics, but I cannot measure them. So, instead of doing that, if I say student will be do this using thermodynamics, then that becomes measurable and student centric or learner centric. Student will understand how to operate a machine. Most of the time we have written instructional objective or outcome using understand. Understand is not measurable. Understand is an action verb, but it is not measurable. So, this outcome is not measurable. Student will appreciate the concept of sustainable development to engineering design. Why I require appreciate? Whether they appreciate or not does not matter. What they will able to do is the matter. So, this outcome or instructional objective is not measurable. Apply principle of projection and construct orthographic or isometric view of an object in a CAD environment. Sometime if I see there is a two action verb, apply and construct. This apply is not an correct action verb. The action verb is construct. So, construct orthographic or isometric view of an object in a CAD software is a measurable action. But if I say apply principle of projection is an action by the learner, it is not measurable. So, what is required? You can say the using principle of projection or by principle of projection or based on principle of projection. So, this is not apply. So, if I say this is an application level of outcome, it is not. It is only construct. Construct is synthesis level of outcome, design. Demonstrate the various, see that, demonstrate, not measurable. Whether I demonstrate or does not matter, what I have to do, which is measurable, specific, achievable, that is outcome. So, it is not measurable. To develop skill to critically think, whether I develop skill to critically think does not matter, what I have to do, this and deliberate open various environmental issue. So, I have to deliberate open various, how do you measure it? I thought one deliberation is sufficient. Somebody said, no, I never told you that one deliberation is sufficient. So, this deliberate open various environmental issue is not achievable and also it is not directly measurable. So, this outcome is also not measurable. So, one of the skill you should develop, that given an outcome you should comment whether this is measurable or not, whether this is learner centric or not. So, teacher will tell, student will understand, all those are not learner centric, not measurable. So, you see that for a given volume and density, calculate the mass, directly measurable. Okay? Let us see another exercise. This is the action verb group. So, what is action verb? Bloom's taxonomy action verbs? The English verbs which are measurable, and based on that some expertise, we have grouped them some verbs in a one group. So, those are the action verbs which belongs to knowledge, those are the action verbs which belongs to comprehension, those are the action verbs belongs to application, those are the action verbs analysis, those are the action verbs for synthesis, and those are the action verbs for evaluation. Let us some group, but it is one action verb, there may be some of the action verbs exist in this list which are scattered to multiple group, it is possible. Only basis of action verbs I cannot 100% identify the cognitive level of the outcome, unless I do not know what is the condition component and criteria component. Once you specify the condition component and criteria component, although the action verbs belongs to multiple cognitive level, but reading that outcome you should able to find out, okay, this is which cognitive level. But most of the action verbs are not that manner. So, some few action verbs are there which related to multiple cognitive level. Unless we know the condition component and criteria component, we cannot identify the cognitive level of that instructional objective or outcome. Okay? So, let us remove those action verbs and let us create a list. So, if I want to write down an outcome on synthesis level, I have to think using those action verbs. Okay? This table is given to you. Now, I ask you, identify the action verbs and comment on the cognitive level of the outcome. So, the question is, identify the action verbs and comment what is the cognitive level of the outcome. Okay? Let us say the first one, select the most economical manufacturing process and relate plant layout required for a given product details. Also, describe the methodology of selected process and list the safety precaution to be taken. First job is identify the action verbs present in the outcome. Select one action verb, relate, no, this is not an action verb, related plan layout required for a given product details, describe, list. So, select, describe, list. Those are the three action verbs present in this outcome. Is there any other one? Select the most, yes, and then there is no, only three. So, 1, 2 and 3. So, if I see the list, describe, let us see the list and describe. So, list is knowledge level, describe is knowledge level, then there is a select is knowledge level. So, the outcome is in knowledge level, cognitive level is knowledge. So, if I write as a course outcome, then I cannot say that this is an appropriate course outcome for a B.Tech engineering, although it is written for B.Tech engineering. So, once I say select the most economical manufacturing process, once I say, and if I write and justify your selection, then the outcome becomes to evaluation level. So, how you write down, what kind of select may be, why the select I said knowledge level, because in the book there may be written, if you choose this, this is economical viable, if you choose this, this is economical viable. So, a student can remember that passage and answer it. But if I say, I give you this product and select the most economical manufacturing process and justify your selection, then it becomes evaluation level. Okay? So, if I say I want to find out the cognitive level of the outcome, then do not think all those things. Given an outcome, find out the action verbs and think about what is the cognitive level of those action verbs. So, as per Bloom's taxonomy, an outcome may contain more than one action verbs. Here it is 3, 1, 2, 3. All are same cognitive level, that is why the cognitive level of this outcome is knowledge. Let us see another one. Determine is 1, determine force or workload and power required in a metal forming process and calculate machine timing and metal removal rate in a turning, drilling, milling and shipping process for the given part and process details. Okay. So, let us I have to find out first action verbs. So, determine is one action, calculate is another action. Let us see what is there. Determine will be in analysis level, I think so. Differentiate, if it is not there, it will be here only. Where is determine? Okay, first calculate, compute and calculate. Compute is there, calculate is not there. So, calculate will be here only. So, compute is there, calculate or calculate. So, calculate is application level and determine will be in analysis level. If you see in the software, what I will demonstrate in the next week, you see those are there. So, calculate is in application level, determine is in analysis level. Okay. So, if I say the object, this outcome has a 2 action verbs, one is application level, another is in analysis level. So, what is the cognitive level of the outcome? What Bloom says that if an action verb contain multiple action, if an outcome contain multiple action verbs, the highest cognitive level is the cognitive level of the outcome. So, what is the highest cognitive level? Analysis, because if I go knowledge is lower level, then comprehension, then application, then analysis. So, analysis the higher level, higher cognitive level than the application. So, the outcome cognitive level is application, because Bloom says that if you achieve in application level, it is assumed that you have already achieved in application, comprehension and knowledge level. So, the cognitive level of the outcome is analysis and the actions verbs are determine, calculate. Third one, given a function of one variable or several variable, apply the basic definition of limit, continuity and differentiability to check whether the function has a limit or continuous or differentiable at a given point. You may say apply is one of the action verb, check is another action verbs. But here this apply is not application, it is application level based on basic definition of limit, continuity and differentiability. So, although there is a verb which is apply, but it is not directly related that it is meaning the application level. It says that based on basic definition of limit, continuity and differentiability. So, I will not consider that as an action verb. I consider action verb is check. I have to check or I have to determine. So, check, if I say check, check may be where? If you see the check, check is there, check, 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 check may not be there. Check or determine, check means determine. So, it is analysis level. So, I can say outcome is in analysis level. Formulate the equation of motion for a coupled system of oscillator, reduce the differential equation to a linear form, transform them into a linear systems or algebraic equation and determine the normal modes and corresponding frequency. So, what are the action verbs? First one is formulate. Second, formulate the equation of motion for a coupled systems or of oscillators. Okay. Second one is reduce the differential equation to linear form. Third one is transform them into linear system of a algebraic equation and determine. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no 1, 2, 3, 4, not this one, sorry. So, 1, 2, 2, 3 and 4. So, there is a 4 action verb. First one is formulate, second one is reduce, third one is transform, fourth one is determine. So, I have to find out what is the cognitive level. So, let us first formulate, check. Formulate may be synthesis, yes, synthesis level. Then reduce, formulate, then reduce, okay. So, reduce may be evaluation, I think so. Reduce is not here, but it is in my. So, reduce will be evaluation, means simplification or optimization. So, reduce will be evaluation. Then transform, transform may be in analysis. Transform will be analysis and then determine, determine is also analysis. So, I can say formulate, synthesis, reduce, evaluation, transform, analysis, determine, analysis. So, I can say what is the highest level? Evaluation. So, although there is a analysis, synthesis and evaluation, highest cognitive level is evaluation. So, the cognitive level of this outcome is evaluation. Okay. Last one, find out first targeted that action verbs. What are the action verbs present? Okay. Just read. Learning whether they learn the Maxwell equation or does not matter, what they have to do. Troubleshoot, that means I want to write down evaluate the instrument working on the principle of Maxwell equation. So, if I say this outcome is not written correctly, because evaluate the instrument working on the principle, what do you mean by that? So, all are teacher centric up to this. The outcome is formulate the energy transformation equation using this. The student has to do formulate the energy transform equation. All those things are prerequisite. They have to know Maxwell equation, they have to know principle of MRI. That doesn't matter. Matter is the skill is formulate this. So only action verb I find out, which is called formulate. Formulate is synthesis level. So I can say this outcome is synthesis level, but this is not a good outcome. Most part is teacher centric, only this part is student centric. Okay? So in assignment I also given, there may be an outcome will be given, you have to find out the action verbs. The outcome is given, you have to find out the action verb, and based on the action verb you have to choose what is the cognitive level of that outcome. Okay? So this is one kind of skill. Next skill, identify the performance criteria and condition component in a given outcome. Suppose an outcome is given, you have to find out which one is the condition component, which one is the criteria component, and which one is the performance component. Let us see the example 1. Given a function of variable or several variable, apply the same example I have given. So up to this is called condition component. Check whether function is a limit divisible or is a given point is performance component. You can say given a function one variable or several variables. So one variable, several variable may be the criteria component, because it limit the perform. So what is given? This is given. What has to done? You have to perform this. Up to what level? One variable and several variable. Okay. Option 2, given a function of several variable using partial, examine the existence of the extremum point and saddle point. Okay. So maybe, so this given a function of several variable is given to you. So condition component. Using principle derivation, all are condition component, but using partial derivative, condition component. Examine the existence of extrema point, that has to perform. So that is called performance component. So given a function of several variable using partial derivative, all are condition component. What they have to perform? Examine the existence of extrema point and saddle point. Done. Using the first order partial derivative, the critical points can be identified. So this is not written as a outcome. So you can say that using first order partial derivative, identify the critical point, and using formulae involving second order partial derivative, the nature of the critical point can be decided. So this is teacher statement, it is not part of the outcome. So first one is okay. Given a function of several variable, using partial derivative, examine the existence of extrema point and saddle point. What is given? Function. What is, how to do? Derivative. So all are condition. What has to perform? Examine the existence of extrema point and saddle point. Next part, see that it is a teacher statement, what teachers will cover. So instead of that, if you say that, I can rewrite this one. What I have to do? Identify the critical point. So first skill is that students can able to identify the critical point. Based on what? Based on first order partial derivative. So for a given function, find out the critical point using first order derivative. Next skill what I want? They want using second order derivative nature of the critical point. So, I can say determine the nature of the critical point based on second order derivative. So, if I want to rewrite this outcome, first one is okay, second one is that using first order derivative identify the critical point, using second order partial derivative determine the nature of the critical point, finished. Only you have to say the complexity of the function. So, given a function of several variables, it means more than one. So, it may be n. So, if we cover only two variables, then instead of several variables, write given a function up to two variables. If you cover three variables, you write three variables. Do not write, if you write several variables, then it is not achievable. So, instead of several variables, I can cover, if I cover in my class 3 variables, I write 3 variables. Okay? Use numerical method for solve first order, second order ordinary differential equation. So, use numerical methods, condition, first order and second order, criteria, solve differential equation, performance. Determine the voltage, current, power, energy, performance component. For a given network, using measuring instrument is condition component. So, for any given objective, you can identify the condition component and performance component. So, what I suggest, when you listen this video, do not listen the video continuously. Listen the video, stop it and take an example from anywhere and try to do it. Find out the performance component, find out the action verb, find out that cognitive level. So, those things you exercise, okay? Then you learn how to do it. Compute node current and voltage for a given network. So, compute node current and voltage is the performance component, for a given network is the condition component, but this outcome may not be achievable because the complexity of the network is not specified. So, I do not know if it is one of the course outcome of a BTech level subject. Within 40 lectures, you cannot cover all kinds of complex network. So, whatever you achievable, you can mention in the outcome. That is why I say outcome is not a single line statement, it may be a paragraph. Given an application, choose the appropriate electrical machine. Choose the appropriate electrical machine based on their performance parameters. Parameters are given. So, given an application condition, based on the performance parameters of the criteria, what has to done? Choose the appropriate electrical machine is the performance component. Given application, condition component, choose the appropriate electrical machine, performance component, based on their parameter, criteria component. Okay? So, for a given outcome, you can easily identify which one is performance component, which one is condition component, which one is criteria component. Now, I go another one. Which one of the following instructional objectives are measurable but not achievable? To recognize and communicate effectively the impact of human activity on our environment. Recognize, measurable, and communicate, measurable. But see that where it is specificity, where it is achievable in a course, it is your teacher's expectation. So, there is no limitation of human activity on our environment. Many, how you cover in a one single course. So, this outcome is measurable but not achievable. Evaluate various environmental monitoring and control measures for mitigation of environmental pollution. It is a statement. How much is the complex is evaluation? How complex is the evaluation? How complex evaluation you cover in the course is not mentioned. That is why I have given an example. A course is written a topic, filter design. How much filter design is not written? So, this is syllabus. It depends on the teachers. A teachers want 2 class on filter design, a teachers can take 10 class on filter design, a teachers can take entire semester on filter design. But how much filter design is sufficient is not mentioned. So, evaluate various environmental monitoring. How complex is evaluation is sufficient for that level of learner? It is not mentioned. So, that is not achievable. Design appropriate data structure and algorithm by manipulating stack. So, this is it achievable? How complex is the stack? How complex is the queues? How complex is the linked list? You have not mentioned. How do I measure the appropriateness of the data structure? Nothing is mentioned. So, this is not achievable. Apply the tools of genetic engineering to solve real world, see that, real world problem. How you cover all kinds of real world problem in the course? Real world problem facing mankind, it is an enormous problem. How do you solve? So, how much real world problem you cover in the course and how much real world problem you thought is sufficient for that levels of students? Again I say, the outcome is measurable, achievable and specific. It is a dose kind of things. If you see when you visit to a doctor's, the dose depends on your level of infection. Similarly, the complexity of the skill will depends on the level of study. If it is engineering level, BTech engineering level, the complexity is 1. So, that is why they said in accreditation parameter, complex engineering problem. So, institute may say complexity, this much complexity is sufficient for BTech, and institute B said no, we will produce a research engineer, complexity has to vary. But this is okay, design is okay. So, if it is not achievable, if it is a vague statement, then it is not a target. How you expect the learner will achieve the target? Cannot. If your target is shifting, target is not specifically defined, then how a learner will achieve the target? It is not it is impossible. That is why this is not achievable. Similarly, I will give you several examples on something is not specific. In any outcome, do not write different, like, such as, basic, fundamental, because those words are non-specific. If I write different, how many are there you have not told? Different parameter. Suppose you cover 2 parameters in the class and an examiner asks is another parameter. Then student said, no sir, this was not in our syllabus. So, instead of different, you can say, what do you mean by difference? Difference means A, B, C parameter. Okay. So, students know or learner know they should compute A, B, C parameter only. Industry know those students can only compute A, B, C parameter. If they require D parameter, then they should not come to you, that students. Understand? Like, that means something is else in your mind, the student does not know. Then how do you think that how you increase the self-learning? You cannot do it. So, some of the outcome may be specific, but may be measurable, but not specific. So, if you use word like different, like, such as, various, then none of those outcomes are not specific. To make the outcome specific, remove those words, mention what is your intention. Different numerical method. If I cover two numerical method, write down using a method A and method B. If I cover three methods, write down method A, B, C. If I cover all methods, then write use numerical method, no different. That means all methods. Understand? So, some of the outcome may be measurable, but not specific. So, if in an assignment if I told you, suppose I give you three outcome, told which one is measurable, but not specific, you can easily do it. I think that is the end. So, my suggestion is that when you watch this video, let us download it, or you can say the collect some few outcome from your surrounding area. Then first try to find out what are the action verbs present in the outcome. Try to find out what should be the cognitive level of that outcome. Try to find out what is the condition component, criteria component and performance component outcome. Then think on whether the outcome is specific, measurable and achievable. So, that develop the skill how to write the outcome. Once you write the outcome, if you have that skill, then you can think whether this outcome is specific, measurable or achievable. What is the cognitive level of the outcome? What are the action verbs used in this outcome? So, those things can be done. So, I recommend you do this, practice this thing, because this is skill. This has to be developed on you to write a good course outcome and design a outcome based curricula. Because in the next lecture I will show you, you have to write course outcome, module outcome, lecture outcome. So, lot of outcome you have to write. Now, if you do not have the idea how to write the outcome, how to define the cognitive level of the outcome, what is condition component, what is performance component, what is criteria, why those are needed, then writing outcome will be difficult. So, that is why I cover this week, I cover Bloom's taxonomy, what is the use of Bloom's taxonomy, then instructional objective, how to write an instructional objective, what is an instructional objective and how to determine the cognitive levels of the instructional objective, then various performance component, condition component, criteria component, how to check whether the outcome or instructional objective is specific, measurable and achievable. Okay? Thank you.